So the first thing, or the first thought that I want to start with, is that you have to take responsibility for your life. Okay, you have to take responsibility for your life. Your life isn't in the hands of anybody else but yourself. So the thought that I had as it relates to that is that in life you only get out what you put in. Okay, in life you only get out what you put in. I think in relation to this topic, I think about a bank account, right? Most of us should. Hopefully, you all have a bank account, but we have bank accounts, right? And in your bank account, the only thing that's in your bank account is what you have deposited in there. And not only is what you have deposited in your bank account there, the only thing that you're able to withdraw from your bank account is what you have deposited. And I think that is such an important thing when it comes to life, because sometimes in life we can try to withdraw what we didn't deposit out of life. Okay, we can try to deposit what we didn't withdraw out of life. We can have seasons to where we can want this, we can want that, but we have to ask the question: did we actually deposit? Did we actually do enough in that particular area in order to withdraw that desire, in order to withdraw that dream, in order to withdraw that end goal that we have? Did we do enough to withdraw that out of our lives? And a lot of times, if we're being completely honest, is the answer to that question always yes, right? And I want you to actually do some self-reflection in this moment. Did you do enough to get what you dreamed for? Right. And the reason why I say you have to take responsibility for your life is because a lot of times I think that we can do this thing with blaming other people for where we're at with our lives. Right. And I know that I've done this before, and I know a lot of people have done this as well. We can blame other people. We can blame situations for where we're at in life. Some people say, you know what, well, the condition that we're in right now is because the government. The government, did a bad job. America, let's say, I'm just going to refer to the black community because I'm black, and that's my experience, and that's what I can draw from. Our experience, whether it be with slavery, whether it be with Jim Crow, whether it be with redlining, whether it be with segregation, whether it be with all these different challenges that we go through in life, we can say that the position that we're in right now is no fault of our own, right? Like, we had so many other factors that attributed to where we're at. So then it can make us take the position that, oh man, like, it's okay. Not necessarily that it's okay, but we have an excuse, or we have a reason for where we're at. And I don't want to necessarily say that we don't necessarily have an excuse, or we don't have a reason for where I was at or where you're at. But at the same time, like, you're where you're at because of what you decided to do with what you have, right? Like, some individuals have the same experience that you have. Some individuals have the same disadvantages that you have. Some individuals have the same uphill battle that you have, and they took that same hand and won, right? They took that same hand that you're in, whatever position you're in. They took that same hand and they won with it. And I believe that it takes a lot of self-accountability, a lot of self-responsibility in order for us to say, hey, like, literally have one of those moments with ourselves, one of those conversations where we say, man, like, what do I want out of life, right? What do I want out of life? And not only what do I want out of life, what will it take in order for me to get there? And when it comes to getting to that particular place, we have to realize that that's on us, right? That's on me, and that's on you as well. You will never get, like, there's not anybody that's out there that is just thinking about you in such a way to where they're going to do all the work for you, right? They're not looking out there as like, hey, you know what? I see where she's at. I see where he's at. And they're such a great person that I just want to come and make life easy for them. All right. We can think that that's going to happen, but the reality is that's not going to happen. So if that's not going to happen with my life, right, with your life, what are you going to do about that? Are you going to take responsibility for you? And if you don't take responsibility for you, then we're going to be like that bank account that we didn't deposit money in, right? We're going to go one day and have a dream, have a desire, have a goal, have a want out of life, and go to withdraw from that and realize that there is absolutely nothing there. Nothing. There is absolutely nothing there. Again, on Instagram, share this with somebody because I'm excited about sharing this. I think this will actually really help somebody, right? There's going to be nothing that is there. So you have to take responsibility for your life, right? And so, like, one thing that I had to realize, and I had to make this very, very clear statement, is that I am the reason that I am where I'm at. Okay? I am the reason that I am where I'm at. And in the same vein, you have to make that same public statement. You are the reason that you are where you're at. And I know that's a tough pill to swallow. You might think, well, I came from a single parent family. I didn't have access to this. I didn't have this, that, and the third. You are the reason you are where you're at. All right. Now, I want you to take a deep breath. I want you to sit with that, because when you make that statement, you're going to realize that if I'm the reason where I'm at, not only am I the reason where I'm at today, I'm also the reason where I was at yesterday. Okay. Not only that, here's the encouragement. You are the reason that you will be where you're at tomorrow. Okay. You are the reason where you will be at tomorrow. Okay. So, I've talked about this, and I'm going to mention this story again. Like, when I was younger, I had this desire, this dream to go to the NFL. My oldest brother, his name is Tony. He made it to the NFL. Now, take this into account. I am the youngest of 11 children. Okay, I'm the youngest of 11 children. My mom and dad, they birthed 11 kids, right? So, and think about having so many people in that particular environment, in that single house. You can realize that you can have desires, you can have dreams, you can have goals that, because we weren't rich, right? So we weren't rich. So even if we were, like, let's say if we were high middle class or anything like that, there were 13 people in the house. Okay. There were 13 people in the house. So resources can only go but so far, right? And so younger, I had this thought, like, man, in order for me to achieve success, in order for me to reach what I thought was making it out, being successful in life, I said that, yeah, absolutely, Cedric. Yeah, everybody, include, like, and that's another thing. I'm glad you actually said that, Cedric. Not only did my parents have 11 kids in the house, my mom and dad, like, they're absolutely amazing people, right? Our house was the house where everybody came to. So Cedric is here. He talked about Cedric has a brother named Felix. They were always over the house. My mom actually had a daycare as well, and she had tons of kids. So she didn't just raise the 11 children that they had. They also raised probably 50 to 100 other family kids as well. And so think about, with so many people that are in this house, there's this desire that was birthed inside of me at a very early age, especially seeing my brother and what he was able to accomplish in his life. I was like, man, that's what I have to do. Football is going to be my avenue in order for me to make it out. And my brother made it. So that made it, even more tangible for me that, man, this is possible for me as well. I came from a very sports oriented family in the South. Sports is a big thing. Like, you either play football, you play basketball. Some people play baseball, but pretty much football is the go-to sport. Football is basically a religion in the South. And so I remember just growing up playing sports and just thinking that, man, this is what I got to do. And so I played football in high school, and also played in college as well. I played at Alabama State University. And so I played at Alabama State University, and I remember, man, this is it. But at one point, I transferred from Alabama State University to the University of Alabama. And in my mind, this was it. This was a bigger opportunity. It was a big stage. And I had a very good friend of mine. His name is Rashad. He walked on at the University of Alabama. He had earned a scholarship. And now he was actually big time. I was like, man, like I got another example right there in my network that says, hey, like you can actually do this. So I was like, boom, I'm going to do this as well. Right. So, but when it comes to a dream, when it comes to a desire, when it comes to anything, your work ethic has to be greater than your desire. Okay. I'm going to say that again. Your work ethic has to be greater than your desire. So if you have $1 million dream, then you have to have a $10 million work ethic. Okay. Because if that's not the case, then it's not going to work out, right? You can't have a subpar work ethic with the desires that you have. It just doesn't work out that way. And so with that being the case, I didn't make it to the NFL, right? So I'm gonna cut the story short so I can get on to the rest of the points that I'm trying to make. I didn't make it to the NFL, and there were times to where I started blaming a lot of things in relation to that. I had challenges with my coach at Alabama State, and I was like, man, if he would have gave me this opportunity, if he would have did this, then that would have been the story would have played out a little bit different for me. I was going to practice, I was working out, I was doing well, I was doing this, but he was the reason. I blamed my position coach for the reason that I didn't have more success at Alabama State. That is not the truth. It's just not it. There were more things that I could have done that could have allowed me to have the success that I wanted on the football field. Are y'all with me? Right? And so in the same vein, do you make those same self-assessments, right? Because think about this. I'm talking about you're the reason why you're where you're at, okay? Do you make those same self-assessments that you could have done more? Like when you think about to a specific situation, right? Let's say it was a career opportunity, whether it's a career opportunity, a business opportunity, or just a personal goal endeavor that you had. And let's say that did not work out for you, okay? Did you go to that particular thing and did you say, hey, I'm the reason why that didn't work out for me? Like, what do you say in those particular moments? I want y'all to interact with me. Like, what do y'all say in those particular moments? Or do you immediately go to external factors versus internal factors, right? Do you go to the external? Okay, it was this, it was that, it was my environment. I remember, so-and-so led me down this path and they were the reason. If they had never done that, then I would have never made this decision. Reality check, you made the decision, right? Everything that you do in your life is within your power. You have the power to say yes. You have the power to say no. So if you have the power to say yes, and you also have the power to say no, then at the very core of things, you are the reason you are where you're at. And so when it comes to that, I'm the reason why I didn't make it to the NFL. And the reason why I think it's important to dive a little bit deeper in this particular topic is because I think so many people have dreams, we have goals. I don't think anybody wakes up in life and says, hey, I don't really want to do anything with my life. Right? I don't think anybody wakes up and says that. I don't think anybody even wakes up, I don't care if you're homeless, I don't care what situation you're in. I don't think anybody woke up and said, hey, when I grow up, I want to be homeless. I don't know. Do you think that? Do you think people just woke up and said they want to be homeless? I don't think that. So if people don't wake up and say that they want to be, let's say, in a not so favorable position in life, then what end up happening? Like they can blame a lot of things, but will we eventually say that, hey, when it comes to where I'm at in life, I'm the reason why I am where I'm at. And not only that, I'm also the reason why I can get out of this situation. Because when we say that we're the reason where we're at, it also gives us power to now say we can change the situation that we're in, right? And that's the power of taking the blame game out of other people and taking responsibility for our lives, because you now take the power, not only where you've been, not only where you're at, but you now give yourself the power to have control of where you will get to, right? Like you said, it starts with self, 1,000,000%. It starts with self, right? And so with that being said, I have this thought that you deserve the opportunities that you create for yourself. Okay? You deserve the opportunities that you create for yourself. Nothing more, nothing less. Like, you don't deserve anything that you did not work for. You do not deserve anything that you did not have some blood, sweat, and tears that went into that particular thought, that particular desire. And I think a lot of people talk about this generation being one that has, this sense of entitlement when it comes to things. But I think entitlement has always been there. I don't think that's like a new concept, right? I think it's more visible because we have access to so many things in life, whether it be with social media, whether it be with news or everything else. Like, we just have access to so many more moments in life. And so we think that this sense of entitlement is much greater than what it was before, but it's not. It's always been the same. And so with that being the case, right, you deserve every opportunity that you create for yourself. Like, you're not entitled to more than what you work for, right? And if you don't realize that you have to put in work in relation to where you're trying to go with your life, then you will continue to have a reality that you're not excited about. And that's what this is all about. I want individuals to have a reality that they're proud of, to have a reality that they're excited about, to wake up and actually say, man, I'm actually living out what I want to live out, like this purpose that I feel like I have with my life, like it's a reality. Like, so many people have these things that what we call daydreams, or just dreams in general, all right? And a lot of times our daydream is so exciting, right? It's so elaborate, it's so good. And it's like, man, we wake up and we go to our jobs and we're like, dang, this is it. Like, can I go back to sleep? Like, can I go back to when I was asleep and everything was perfect? And I don't want individuals to have these daydream moments to where they're in their 9 to 5, they're in their business, they're in doing whatever they're doing, and they have to escape their reality with moments that aren't real. How about you just make moments that are real? Take those things that are part of your thought process and make those your actual reality, because that's possible. But it's only possible if you actually put the work in to actually obtain that, right? Because, like, a lot of times I think we can have this notion that, hey, there are certain people that have a head start in life. Like, we think about people that maybe came from a good background. Let's say their family had money, right? Or let's say they just had access to resources that you may not have had access to. And we could look at people in that particular situation and say, man, because they had access to those resources, because they had a particular network, because they had, an investment, from their parents, that's the reason why they're where they're at. And I think that's doing those individuals a major disservice. And the reason why I say this is because if we blame everything to their success as it's all about, where they came from, it's all about, what they had access to, then internally what we're doing, we're saying that if we do not have those same things, then we cannot achieve what they have achieved. And now you're giving yourself an out that you don't need, right? We're giving ourselves excuses. We're giving ourselves these opportunities to not go out and put the extra effort that it takes in order to get to where we're trying to go. My thought is this: if you look at somebody's situation and you say they had these resources, they had these opportunities, and that's the reason why they're where they're at. And if you don't look at that situation and say, bam, I now have to do more because they had that, then you don't have the mentality that it's going to take in order for you to get to outwork them. Like, just think about it. If somebody, let's say they had $1 million investment in their business, and they also had access to millionaires and everything galore, everything they needed to be successful. Like, if you look at that situation and look at it from a place of like, dang, man, I wish I had that. And because they had that, I could make it. Like, you need to look at that situation and say, man, if they have access to that, then it's going to take me doing 10 times what they are doing in order for me to achieve that. Like, I have to 10x my work ethic because I don't have that. Does that make sense? Like there should be something that arises inside of you that says, because I don't have that, then what is it going to take from me to get to that goal that I'm trying to get to? Let's say they're trying to get to the same goal, right? They're trying to get to the same place that you're trying to get to, right? What is it going to take from you to get there, even though they have resources that you do not have, right? What is it going to take? And that's the element that I want us to dive deeper into when it comes to like taking the responsibility from where you came from, right? Taking the responsibility or taking responsibility for your life. You have to realize that I have to put in extra effort because of my particular situation. Like, is that the thing that arises within you when you see what other people have? What are your thoughts on that? Like, respond to me in the chat. Let me know. Like, another thing that I have in relation to that is this. Like, when individuals that have, let's say, what I'm talking about in relation to this head start, right? If somebody does have a head start in life, right? They have access to all these resources, have all these things that you say that you wish that you had. Do you now say, how can I go and create that for myself? Okay. How can I go and create that for myself? Or do we look at it and say, man, I just can't get that? Right? Are y'all following me? Right? Do you look at that and say, I can't get that? Or do you say, man, what do I have to do to now create an environment that is similar to the environment that it takes? Because I think that access is what we need in order to open our minds to what we need to have. Right? A lot of people talk about the inner city. All right. I have a heart for the inner city. And a lot of people talk about the disadvantages that are really prevalent within the inner city. And they talk about what they do not have. But the reality is, I think that when you do not have a head start, you actually have an unfair advantage. All right? I think that if you do not have a head start, if you do not have access to all the resources, if you do not have all these legs up in life, I think you're not at a disadvantage. I think you actually have an advantage. What do I mean by that? Think about this. Like when you've had to work for something harder than anybody else has had to work for it, think about how much more drive that and appreciation you have for it. I've heard many stories of people that came from money, many stories of people that came from, what we would say that, man, if we could have an ideal situation, and they squandered that off. Right? They didn't have any appreciation for all they had. And we're looking at it from a place that, man, I wish I could have that. Why would you do that? Right? And we probably had many responses to similar situations. And we're like, man, why would you do that? Man, if I had that, this is what I would do with that. But since they do not have the adversity that you face, since they do not have the hard challenges that you've had to go through, since they do not have that uphill battle, they don't have that same perspective that you have as it relates to what they now have accomplished or what they do now have, what they now possess. And I think your unfair advantage is that you have a work ethic that other people don't possess because you've had to work harder. It didn't come easy for you. And since it did not come easy for you, you know that it takes a lot for you to make it. Drake has his song talk about it started from the bottom. Now we're here, right? When you started from the bottom, you have so much more appreciation for the journey. You have so much more appreciation from where you're trying to go that other people that did not have that same struggle, that did not have that same path that you had to travel, they just don't possess that. Right? I heard of a lot of people. I don't know if y'all are sports. I don't know if y'all are into sports, but recently the NCAA championship was played, and Gonzaga played Baylor in the championship, right? And Baylor won let me put a little bit of context around that. Baylor was the underdog in that game. Everybody thought that Gonzaga, they had a perfect season. They thought that they were going to dog walk over Baylor, right? That was the main thought. And in Vegas, they had them as I think it was a 5-point underdog. Baylor was. Baylor won that game by 16 points. They won that game by 16 points. And I saw this comment that I think is so relatable as it comes to this particular topic. Somebody said that Baylor had a team full of dogs and Gonzaga didn't. And I thought that was so prevalent because I think that Baylor had a lot of individuals on their team that had to get it a lot differently than the individuals that were on Gonzaga's team. And because their drive was, they had a grittiness about them that Gonzaga didn't have. Like you could tell they were just physical. They were like manhandling them, right? Because they had a drive, they had a hunger, because their experiences were a lot different than the experiences that a lot of people that went to Gonzaga. And I think that's something that we should embody. Like you may not have had all the things. You may be the underdog. People may look at you and say, hey man, you're a 10-point underdog in life versus these other people. Will you still win? Will you still win? Right? Do you look at that being the underdog? Do you look at that as, man, they're just going to win because they have these so many resources, they have these advantages, they had it much easier? Or do you say, man, they don't have what I have inside of me? They don't have the grit. They don't have the hunger. They don't have the desire. They don't have the dog inside of them that I have inside of me. And I bet they won't get what belongs to me. I like put them in front of me, put somebody in front of you, right? I want to make this personal. Put somebody in front of you that wants the same thing that you want, and will you devour them? Will you be the underdog in everybody's eyes, but yet when they see that game play out, they say, man, you had something different that they didn't bring to the table. And that's what I think is your unfair advantage. And that's what I want us to dig into, but it's going to take you realizing that your life is your responsibility, right? Your life is your responsibility, and it's not until you take responsibility for your life will you realize the effort, the resolve, the resilience that it takes in order for you to accomplish the things that you are meant to accomplish. Does that make sense? Are y'all following me? All right, Q, I'm gonna get to this in a second, right? Well, people are coming on Facebook, right? All right, so another thing that I want to mention, and I'm gonna go to some of the questions and allow people to call in. All right, so this is a thought that I sort of want to leave with y'all. It's available. Will you go get it? Okay, it's available. Will you go get it? In life, anything that you desire is available. Will you go get it? That dream opportunity from a career standpoint, it's available. Will you go get it? Let's say you've had thoughts about starting a business. It's available to you. Will you go get it? Right? Let's say you had a dream like I had, and you want to go to the NFL. You want to be a professional athlete, whatever it is. It's available to you. Will you go get it? My question is, what will it require from you? Okay? When you have that thought, right? When you have that thought that this is what I want, the thing that should follow that is now, what will this require from me? Because with everything that you want in life, it will come with a sacrifice. All right? Everything that you want in life is on the other side of what you're willing to sacrifice in order to get there. And in life, a lot of times we don't go out and get the things that we want in life because we're not willing to sacrifice what it takes in order to get there, right? There's this parable in the Bible, and it talks about this man. He was a very, very wealthy man, and he was going to Jesus, and he said, man, like, this is what I want out of life. Jesus told him, he responded, hey, if you want this in life, he said, sell all your possessions, give them to the poor, and he said, and follow me. And that man said, oh, snap. You mean get everything? You mean I got to give away everything in order to get what you're telling me that I want? He wasn't willing to sacrifice it. And guess what? Ultimately, what he wanted, he did not get. And that's the same thing as it relates to us. Like in life, there's a sacrifice that is necessary in order for you to get there. Sacrifice what? Are you willing to sacrifice time? Right? What are you spending your time doing? Right? Do you spend a lot of time on social media? Right? And if you spend a lot of time on social media, can you sacrifice social media for your dreams? I don't know. Do you want it bad enough or do you not? Like, that's the question that you have to ask yourself, right? Maybe it's education, right? Let's say you have to learn more in order for you to get to where you're trying to go. Will you sacrifice in order to get that? I know you got a wife. I know you got a husband. I know you got kids. Guess what? There's a 90-year-old woman. I read this story recently. There was a 90-year-old woman that went back to school and got her degree. 90. 90. The number after 89. Okay? She was 90 years old. She went back to school and got a college degree. Was it easy for her? I bet not. Like, I don't know if she did it in the classroom. I don't know if she did it online. I have no idea all the different things and the different challenges that she had to go through. But she sacrificed what she sacrificed because she had a desire inside of her that this is the one thing that I did not do that I want to accomplish in my life. And I know it's going to be difficult. I know I'm going to be in the classroom and there's going to be somebody that's 18 in there. Think about that. A 90-year-old woman in the classroom with an 18-year-old. How did she feel? I don't know. I'm not 90, but I can think. Like I can imagine how she may have felt. She didn't let that get in the way. That particular instant, like, man, I feel out of place. Like I don't need to be in here with these kids. Nope. I don't care what it looks like. What does it require of me? What does your dream? What does your goal? What does it require of you? Are you willing to sacrifice what it takes? And if you're not willing to sacrifice what it takes, don't be upset when you wake up and you don't see what you wanted out of life. You can't be mad about that. And not only that, you can't even be mad when other people are living out the dream that you once had. Like when I see people that made it to the NFL, I can look at that and be like, man, like how the heck did they make it? Hello, I didn't work hard enough to get there. I'm excited for you. Kudos to you for doing the work that it took to get there. Right? Like there are less talented people, okay? There are less talented people living the dream that you're more talented, that you're more equipped, that you're more capable, but they're living out your dream. If that's not a gut check, then I don't know what is. I'm saying it again. There are less talented, less qualified, less capable people that are living out the dream that you have. Like, and that's not their fault. That's all on you. Like, you have to, I would look at that situation and be like, dang, like, I think a lot of times we allow too much to get in our way. Like, we allow too much. I think that it's not as difficult to accomplish the things that you want out of life. It's not that difficult. I think we make them difficult. Like there's this battle that goes on in our heads that like, man, we think and we think and we think. Like we allow this, procrastination to set in, this analysis paralysis to set in. And when we start thinking and thinking and thinking, we're not doing. You have to do more than you think. Like what's in front of you, right? This is one thing what I want to say about this, right? I want you to think about what you want to accomplish with your life, right? Just think about that, whatever it is, right? Get that in your mind right now. Okay? What's the next step that you're capable of doing right now? Right? What's one step that you know that you could execute right now? And that step, go do it today. That's it. Because we have to break these patterns of inactivity, right? You've been thinking and thinking for so long. Thinking, not doing. Thinking, not doing. And now we create a habit of not doing. And now that becomes our norm. That becomes our reality, right? And so we like when we think about our life, we are what we habitually do, right? That's what we end up accomplishing in life. Look at your habits, okay? Look at your habits. Your habits are going to lead you to your destination in life, right? So if you don't have good habits, guess what? Your destination probably is not going to be that good. It's your habits. And so one of the ways you can break your habits is just to, and get out of your head, is just to realize that, hey, you're capable of doing something. Whatever that something is, just go do it, right? And when you take the first step, guess what? It makes taking the second step more easy because you realize that, hey, the first step didn't kill me. The first step didn't embarrass me. And even if it was a little bit embarrassing, guess what? The more you do something, the better you get at it, right? Like your repetition is going to be the place that you gain your confidence. That's where confidence comes from. Like at one point, you were not good at tying your shoes, right? But you kept doing it. Right? Your little 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old self had something inside of you that said, hey, I'm going to get this. It may have been your parents' influence, maybe your siblings' influence or your guardian's influence, whatever it was, but you had some influence that now transferred from somebody else's influence to your own desire, and then you decided that you were going to master this. And at some point it went from, okay, I'm going to do the other loop, I'm going to wrap it around and then go under. And then you mastered those steps. Mastered it enough to where you can now do it in the dark. Mastered it enough to where you can now do it while watching TV and doing anything else. Your confidence is going to come from your repetition. You are what you repeatedly do. And so if you just gain better habits, if you just start repeating that over again, even if you're terrible at doing it at the beginning, if you continue to repeat that over and over again, at some point you will get better at it. And when you get better at it, you will gain confidence. And when you gain confidence, that's when you'll begin to thrive in that. But you can't allow your lack of confidence to stop you from taking the first step. All right? You can't allow your lack of confidence to stop you from taking the first step, because you never become a master at anything without first being a student. You never become a master at anything without first, at some point, looking a little foolish, right? You never become a master at anything without first feeling inequipped, without first feeling unqualified, right? It's not the qualification. The qualification comes in the doing. Are y'all with me? Somebody put that down. The qualification comes in the doing. The qualification comes in the doing, right? At one point, I sucked at the t-shirt business. I didn't know anything about t-shirts. Like, this is one of the shirts that I made. I didn't know anything about it. I sucked at it, but I didn't allow my beginning to stop me from my middle point. I didn't even allow my middle point to stop me from where I'm at today, right? And so many people allow where they begin to stop them from even seeing what's possible in the future. Like, we don't even give ourselves a shot at seeing what the future can hold, because we don't even take the first step. Is this making sense? Are y'all following me? Right? Like, you have to allow yourself the ability to take step one, because there is no step two without that first step. And there's so much courage. And I want to make sure I elaborate on this. There's so much courage that you possess when you allow yourself to take the first step. That's courage. I know it may be difficult. I know you have a lot that you're fighting through. It takes courage for you to take that first step. It takes courage for you to realize that, hey, man, I may look a little foolish with this. Maybe somebody may not buy it. Maybe nobody will tune in, right? Maybe nobody will listen. Take the first step. Allow yourself to have the courage that it takes in order for you to take that first step. And when you take that first step, guess what? Courage begets courage, right? That courage that allowed you to take that first step will now be the place that you draw from to have that courage to take step number two. And as you continually build up all these courageous moments, you will find yourself being a courageous being, right? You'll find yourself being a courageous being, but it just doesn't come out of the blue. It's just not going to be deposited within inside of you. There's a process to everything, and you have to allow yourself to go through the process. Are y'all following me? Like, allow yourself to go through the process. All right, so I'm going to recap a couple of things, because I've been going for a little while, and if you have any questions about that, then definitely put your questions in, because I want to make sure I answer those, right? So remember, this topic that we're talking about is the blame game stops here, right? Stop, halt it, right? Nobody else is responsible for your life but you, okay? Nobody else is responsible for your life but you. And life You only get out what you put in, right? You're only going to get out what you put in. Like, you may be the reason why where you're at, but hear me out. Hear me. Like, I want you to lean in. I want you to listen closely. You're also the reason why where you'll get to where you're going to. And that's where the power draw comes from, when you take responsibility for your life, when you stop saying that, hey, like there was a time to where I used to say, man, I need these individuals to be on board with me in order for me to find success. That's a lie. That's a lie. Your success doesn't lie in anybody else. Your success is within. Your success lies within you. And whether you're successful or not, that's going to be on you. But the great thing about that is that you can do it. But your work ethic has to be greater than your desires. Your work ethic has to be greater than your desires. You can't have a $10 million dream and have a $2 work ethic, right? Even when I think about some of the most successful people out there, they talk about waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's a sacrifice, right? How are we going to get to where they're at when we're waking up at 10 o'clock? It's just like we're not even in the same like atmosphere, right? We're playing T-ball. They're in the major leagues, right? These are just some of the things that we're going to have to do in order for us to get these things, in order to accomplish these goals and these dreams that we have in life, right? The next point that I made is that you deserve the opportunities that you create for yourself. Like, don't wait for somebody else to create an opportunity for yourself. I'm going to tell a story real quick. There was a time in Arizona, I had this, me and a couple of friends, we started a business, right? And we started this business, but when we started this business, we partnered with a person that had access to resources. They had everything that we felt that we needed for that business, right? And in that, we were like, man, like this person is what we need in order for us to be successful, right? That business didn't work out because that person didn't have the integrity. That person even wasn't even on the same page that we were on. And we were looking for them to create this whole thing for us when it comes to having podcasts, when it comes to having studios. We wanted to have podcast studios. We wanted to have creative spaces. We wanted to have these meeting rooms. And I was like, man, like somebody else had to create this for me. All the material, all the things that they had in that creative space, I now possess. I have the Rodecaster. I have multiple cameras. I have the microphone. I was like, man, when I saw that microphone, I was like, oh man, that microphone is so dope, man. It has this great audio, man. It's so, and I looked at how much it costs. I was like, dang, man, that's expensive. They paid that much. I bigged up everything that they brought to this. Bigged up everything that they brought to this. And I was like, oh man, I gotta be in that space in order for me to accomplish this dream. I am now living out that dream that I had in Arizona, in my home. In my home, I created the space. You have to create the space that you desire. That's up to you. You have to create the space. I was waiting for somebody to create the space. I'm going to elaborate on this story. Even when I moved back to Alabama, I said, I was looking for a space. I said, man, I need a space to where I can go and do these videos. I said, man, where can I go to? Where can I find? I was looking at buildings. I was even going to rent out a space to where I can actually go and do what I do every day in my house. I was going to give somebody else money to do what I'm now doing from home. I was looking for somebody else. And then me and my wife, we bought a home. And kudos to her. I want to shout my wife out because she actually said that she was like, babe, like create the space that you desire. Create the space that you desire. And guess what? We bought the equipment. We got the cameras. We got this table. We got, I don't know if y'all can see these lights, but we got these lights out here. I've added some of these things to the wall because I was like, man, these are the things that I want in space. Everything that I was looking for somebody else to provide for me, I had to go and provide those things for myself. But I don't want to focus all this on me. I'm only using me as an example. You have to go and create the space. You can do it right there in your home. You can do it right there. It's available to you. Will you sacrifice? Yes, I had to sacrifice expenses. It costs money to do this. There's some things that I had to say no to in order for me to say yes to what I now have. Is it? What did I want? What did I want? I want this. Boom. Yes, I want to go and get this, right? And I could have went and bought a new car. I got the resource. I got the finances to go and buy a new car. My car is paid off. I said no to buying a new car. And I said yes to investing in my creative space. Is that making sense? I said, you know what? I'm going to have some delayed gratification, right? Because it would look real good if I was riding around in new Benz. If I had whatever new whip that I wanted to get. But I'm able to create so much more value here in my home that I'm able to create in a new car. Is this making sense? Are y'all following me? Right? And so with that, the last thought that I shared is that it's available, right? The things that I shared with you is to make this point is that it's available. Will you go get it? Will you go get it? That's my encouragement for you. Go out there and get it. You have to sit there wherever you're at, your apartment, your car, your home, wherever you're at, and make a decision. Do you really want what you say you want? And if you really want what you say you want, then your lifestyle will match. If you really want what you say you want, your lifestyle will match. Your day-to-day will be a sign that I am on the pathway to get to where I say I want to get in life. My routine will say I'm headed towards what I want to say in life. My ability to overcome adversity is because I'm willing to overcome this because I know what I want is on the other side of this adversity. Like what you want is on the other side of the adversity. Will you go through it? It's available. Will you go through it in order for you to go get it? Will you? Right. And I had a couple of questions that I actually wanted just to sort of that I wrote down that I wanted to sort of leave you all with. If y'all have any questions, put them in there and I'm actually going to respond to them in a little bit. But I want to share this before I get into that. Why is it important for you to take responsibility for your life? Like what I say about you taking responsibility for your life, it doesn't matter. Hello, who am I? Like, who am I to you? But who are you to you? You are the most important person in your life. And so these conversations that you have with yourself are going to be the most important, right? Why is it important for you to take responsibility for your life? Write it out. Make a statement about it. This is why it's important. Because I've been living like this and I no longer want to live like that. There have been things that I experienced that I no longer wanted to experience anymore. So I had to do something different. Why is it important for you to take responsibility for your life? That's the first question that I want you to answer. And somebody put that in the chat just for the replay. Why is it important for you to take responsibility for your life? Will somebody put that in the chat below, please? Why is it important for you to take responsibility for your life? I would greatly appreciate that. Second question, and I want somebody to put this in the chat as well. Okay. Has your effort matched your desires? I want you to answer these. Has your effort matched your desires? If not, why don't you give more time to something that you say you believe in? Okay? I'm going to say that again. Has your effort matched your desires? And if it hasn't, why don't you give more to something that you say that you believe in? Because I think that's something we got to dig deep into. Why, if I say I want this, why am I not doing more with it? Why am I not trying harder? Why do I go day after day after day after day and I'm not doing anything as it relates to what I want to do? Right? If this is what you want to do, then why aren't you giving more effort to something that you say that you believe in? All right? Y'all follow me? All right. And so with that being said, you have to take responsibility for your life. What will you invest in today to prove that you believe in your tomorrow? And that's my last question. All right. What will you invest in today that will prove, because it has to be proven, right? You can say whatever you want to say, but what will you invest in today to prove that you believe in your tomorrow? That's what I have for you. What will you invest in to prove? Because you're not out to prove anything. Like I hate when people give credit for what they got to in life to everybody else. They get successful, man. I remember, man, I had haters growing up, man, and I had to make it, in order to prove my haters wrong. You gave your haters all the credit for the work that you did. That's crazy to me. You put in the work, and now you get there and you glorify everybody that didn't believe in you. Make that make sense to me, please. I don't get it, right? You put in that effort. You put in that work, right? And it's ultimately the reason why you're where you're at. Prove it to yourself. You're not out to prove anybody else. Now, a byproduct of you proving it to you is others will now see that they did not believe in you, and they will see that they're wrong. But that's just a byproduct. That's not the main story. That's just in addition to. But the main story is that you proved it to yourself. And since you proved you right, other people saw that they were wrong. Does that make sense? Since you proved that you were right, other people now saw that they were wrong. That's what I got. All right, that's what I got. And so, so I have a number in here. It's 480-442-8163. If anybody would like to call in and talk about this topic, I will discuss it live with you here. If you have any questions about anything, please ask those questions, and I want to answer those questions live. But that's what I have in relation. Like, go out there and get it. It's available to you. And so I'm on Facebook Live as well to all my Instagram people. And so I have a live feed in there comment. And so I'm going to go through and read through some of those comments and actually see what they're talking about. Let's see. Cedric said, to your point, if you're watching the next person, you've already lost because you're focused on them and not what you need to be doing to get to where you're trying to be. Yeah, I think too many people focus on everybody else. Like they're focusing on all the wrong things, and because they're focusing on all the wrong things, like your life has to be the main story, right? And like in movies, they have a main character, right? They have a main character, and then they have supporting cast, right? In your life, you're the main character, right? Why are you focusing on the lives of everybody else but yours? You're focusing on the supporting cast. You're not focusing on the main character. No movie is set up to focus more of its time, more of its attention, more of the storyline on the supporting cast. That would be a boring movie. And in life, we have boring lives because we're focusing on the supporting cast and not the main character. Boom. I just made that up. Right? Movies are amazing because they do a great job of developing the main character. They do a great job of developing the main character, and you fall in love with the main character. And because you fall in love with them, they have great storylines, and you recommend people to see this movie. Oh man, it was a great film. Will your life be a great film? Will your life be one to where people will watch it, or you will even watch it and say, man, you got to see what happened in this life? Do you even want to see what happens in your life? Am I making sense? Do you even will people watch your life? Will people watch what you accomplish and actually say, man, now that's the story right there? Because I know their beginning. But you ain't going to do that blaming people. It's not going to happen. All right, let me see what else. Q says, I'm asking asking why creates envy. Oh man. Yeah. That can lead to depression easily. Man, that's a bar right there, Q. He says, I'm asking how. Like when you ask ask how somebody was able to do something, now you lend yourself to discovery. You lend yourself to discovering the elements, the resources, the tools that were available for them to accomplish that. Now you have those same resources, those tools available in your pocket when you say how. But when you say why, you ain't discovering nothing with that. You're just upset. You're bitter. You're depressed because you don't have that same reality. That was a bar, Q. Appreciate you for saying that. What else? Let me see. Let's see. Somebody said, what's your cash app? Cause you preaching. My cash app is True Love's Way. So, I mean, if anybody wants to, donate, I appreciate it. It's True Love's Way, TrueLovesWay. It's True Love's Way. So feel free. I appreciate. It doesn't say who this is, so the pictures usually come up, but yours didn't come up. But thank you for even offering. Yeah. What else? Let's see. Anybody else got any questions? Oh yeah, that's the question I put in there. Yeah. All right. Well, if like I said, the number to call in is 480-442-8163. And if anybody would like to call in, feel free to call in. I would love to wrap it up with you live and just discuss like what exactly is your dream and what steps can you take in order for you to get to where you're trying to go. I would love to just to be able to hash it out with you. I spent a lot of time in corporate, and one of the roles that I had in corporate was a corporate trainer, and part of my responsibility and role was to help people navigate being successful within their career and within their role and responsibility. And so that's what I did as a coach or as a trainer in corporate, but also a lot of time I was spent in management as well. And I had to coach and train other people to have some of the same successes that I experienced within my role that they were in. And so I've had multiple years to where I've had to help people navigate through the hangups that were preventing them from having successes within their particular roles. And even outside of corporate, professionally and within business, I've done those same things. So I would love to be able to chop it up with you and do some of those same things. And even if it's not live, if you want to reach out to me, my DMs are open as well. And so you could definitely reach out to me. But I appreciate all of you. If there's not anything else that anybody wants to talk about, actually, here's a question. What about the patience aspect of your goals, right? I think patience is a pivotal part, but I think there's two parts to patience, all right? So the first part to patience is you have to allow yourself the patience that it takes to go through the process, right? You have to allow yourself the patience that it takes to go through a process. Everything that you want will require you to go through a process in order to get it. I talked about football earlier, right? There's high school, then there's college, and then there's the NFL, right? And there's multiple processes that you have to go through in order for you to get that. Some people may want to go to the NFL out of high school, but guess what? That's not the process. So guess what? Since that's not the process, I have to be patient with going to college. I have to be patient with allowing myself to continue to work through the 3 years that I have to be in order to, declare for the NFL draft. So there's a process that you have to be patient with. But with patience, the second part of that is that some people allow themselves to have too much patience, right? You allow yourself to have too much patience. And with allowing yourself to have too much patience, you give yourself too much leeway. Oh man, you know what? I got to be patient with the process. I ain't got it yet. So you know what? Maybe next year. Like people are finding the same success that you want within a year. Why has it taken you 3? So the second part of that is don't allow yourself, with having patience to go through the process, allow yourself to have too much patience that you negate the work that it takes to do it and the time frame that it should take in order for you to get there. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Hey to everybody on Instagram. Like, don't allow yourself to have more patience than what is required. And that's a great question. And thank you so much. I wish it showed who actually asked that question. But yeah. So man, I thank each and every one of you for coming on. Like, I wrote a book a couple years ago, and this is actually an excerpt from the book that I wrote. It was a devotion called The Overcomer's Devotion. They said appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm glad that was helpful. So 2 things I want to mention before I get out of here. The first one. And so this is actually an excerpt from the devotion that I wrote a couple years back. And the blame game stops here. And I'm actually going to relaunch that and go live with that, and actually revamp it in a whole lot of ways to where there's video courses and everything that comes along with that. And I'm in the process of creating and doing all that now. But I wanted to actually, I don't want to wait in order to give the resources to you all, because I think this information is important to help somebody get to where they want to go. Why wait till there's a price tag that's associated with it in order to allow you to get to where you're trying to go? Like, that's not my heart in all of this. That's not my heart at all. The only reason there is a price tag is because there were hours and days and days and days upon work that went into it. But I much rather you get to where you're trying to go. So I'm not going to
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Oh, that's Siri. But I'm not going to withhold the information, because my ultimate goal is to use my experiences to help others overcome adversity in life. And so if that's my mission, why would I withhold living out a purposeful and mission-filled life because there's not a dollar sign attached to it? That's lame, and I refuse to do that. So, but I am going to continue to bring these resources, bring this information to you. And if you want me to continue to do this, let me know in the chat. Let me know if this was helpful. Let me know if this was beneficial. And I will definitely continue doing this, because I want to make sure that whatever I have to give, I give it. Right? Like I'm going to die at some point. And I think that there's this saying that says the graveyard is the richest place in the world, because so many people died with so much inside of them that they did not give to the world. They had businesses, they had nonprofits, they had ideas, they had career opportunities, they had just these dreams, they had cookbooks, they had all these things inside of them that they did not act upon. Therefore, the grave is rich. I don't want my grave to be rich. I want to die empty. And so since I want to die empty, I will continue to give. I will continue to give, because I know that's what I'm called to do, even when there's not something monetary that's attached to it. And I think, again, that's at some point, I think that's why some of us don't necessarily get and accomplish some things, because we only do it when there's a price tag associated with it. Like, okay, if I get some money for it, I'll do it. But if you ain't give me a bag, then nah, that ain't going to happen. Nah, that's not how it works. I will serve and I will continue to serve. And I think there will be reciprocity in my serving. That's just what I believe in. I will serve and I will continue to serve. And I believe God will give me whatever it is that's supposed to come to my life. And so I'm going to continue to serve, right? And so the second thing that I have to sort of end this out, what was your biggest takeaway from this, right? On Instagram Live, I want you to put this in the comments, and also on Facebook as well. What was your one takeaway? What was your one aha moment that was the biggest for you? What was your one aha moment that was the biggest for you? Because I want to utilize this information to make sure that I continue to focus in on those things that are beneficial, that are helpful for you. But I have to know those things that are helping you in order to make sure that I'm continuing to hit on those points and give you those things that you need more of. So with that being said, what was your biggest takeaway from this live? And I want you all to post that in the comments. And even after, even if you're a part of the replay squad, like even if you're watching this on replay, I still want you to comment what was your biggest takeaway from this, because I'm going to continue to obviously connect with you all, respond back and forth, but also, respond back to those and take those as notes so I continue to move forward in a purposeful and also useful way as well, right? So replay team as well, if you have any questions or comments, like just because you didn't catch this live, don't not ask your questions. Like, I'm going to see these questions and I'm going to answer those, because I want you to ultimately get to where you're trying to go. Like I said, I'm going to start with where I began. The blame game has to stop here. It's got to stop. The blame game has to stop here. You are responsible for you. So with that being said, in life, what you want is available to you. My challenge for you is to go and get it. God bless y'all. Hopefully y'all have a great day. Instagram, thank you so much for rocking with me. Facebook, thank you all so much for rocking with me as well. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great day. Peace.